I made a mistake at 68 years old that I cannot undo. I sold my home of 31 years, packed everything I owned into a moving truck, and drove 14 hours to be closer to my children. And within 2 years, I had lost my friendships, my independence, my sense of who I was outside of being somebody's mother, and very nearly my relationship with the children I had uprooted my entire life to be near. I am 81 years old now, and I am telling you this because nobody told me. Not one person who loved me sat me down and said, "Wait, think about this. Really think about it before you do something you cannot take back." So I am going to be that person for you today. This is the conversation I wish I had gotten. I spent 31 years building a life in the same town. I had a neighbor named Shirley who had been bringing me tomatoes from her garden every August since 1987. I had a doctor who knew my history without looking at a chart. I had a church where people said my name when I walked in, not as a courtesy, as a welcome. I had a coffee shop where the young man behind the counter started making my order when he saw me coming through the door. I had roots, real ones, the kind that take decades to grow and that you do not fully understand the value of until the day you pull them up and feel the ground give way beneath you. My daughter Emma lived in a beautiful city 4 states away. She had 2 children, my grandchildren, who were 7 and 9 at the time, and every visit felt too short, and every goodbye at the airport felt a little more painful than the last one. My son called every Sunday, but the calls were getting shorter, and I could hear the busyness behind his voice, even when he was trying to hide it. And I thought, the solution to all of this is proximity. If I am close to them, I will see them more. I will be part of their daily lives. I will be the grandmother who is there, not the one who flies in twice a year with presents and then disappears again. I thought moving closer would solve the distance. It solved the geography. It created problems I had never imagined. I want to tell you about the first 6 months, because the first 6 months were wonderful, and they were the cruelest trick the whole experience played on me. Emma was attentive and warm and genuinely happy to have me there. We had dinners together twice a week. I picked the grandchildren up from school on Thursdays. I felt needed in a way that had been missing since my husband passed, and the children had grown, and the house had gotten quiet. I thought I had made the right decision. I told my old friends back home that it was everything I had hoped for. I genuinely believed that. And then life resumed its actual pace. Emma went back to working full-time and managing a household and being a wife and a mother and a person with her own obligations and friendships and needs. The twice-weekly dinners became once a week, and then every other week, and then whenever schedules allowed. The Thursday pickups stayed, but they became logistical rather than leisurely. Hand the children off, exchange a few words at the door, Emma back inside because something needed her attention. I was in the same city as my daughter, and I was lonelier than I had ever been in my life because I was surrounded by a life I did not belong to. and I had left behind the life I did. I did not know anyone. That sounds so simple when I say it, but living inside it was devastating in a way I was completely unprepared for. I did not know a single person in that city outside of my daughter's family. Every social structure I had, every casual friendship, every familiar face, every person who knew my name without being introduced, all of it was 14 hours away. I was starting over socially at 68 years old, in a city where everyone already had their people and was not particularly looking for a new one. I smiled at neighbors who smiled back and went inside. I joined a book club where everyone was friendly in the way strangers are friendly. I called Shirley back home and cried on the phone more times than I will admit. And then the thing happened that I was most afraid to see coming. The dynamic with Emma changed. When you live far from your children, every visit is a special occasion. There is a warmth to it, an intentionality. You are both making an effort, and you both feel the effort being made. When you live nearby, you stop being a guest and start being an expectation. Not deliberately, not unkindly, just inevitably. I started to feel the slight tension that comes when proximity creates pressure. Emma never said anything directly. She did not have to. I could feel it in the half-second pause before she answered, when I suggested getting together. I could feel it in the way she sometimes looked tired when I arrived. Not tired from her day, tired in a different way. I had become, without meaning to, and without either of us wanting it, a gentle weight on her life. And recognizing that about yourself, about your presence in your child's world, is a specific pain that I do not have adequate words for. If you are a mother reading this right now, if you are sitting somewhere nodding slowly because some part of what I am describing sounds familiar, I want you to leave a comment below and tell me your experience. Tell me what you are feeling about this. Tell me what you wish you had known, because I think there are more of us than anyone talks about, and I think we deserve a place to say it out loud. I stayed for 3 years. I want to be honest about that because it matters. I did not leave immediately when things got hard. I tried to build a new life there, genuinely tried, and some of it took. I found a few kind women at the book club who became real friends in time. I found a walking path I loved, and a library that felt like home, and a coffee shop that was not my old coffee shop, but was something. But underneath all of it, under every adaptation and every small new connection, was the persistent ache of a person living inside the wrong version of her life. I had traded a full life for proximity to a busy life that did not have room for me the way I had imagined it would. I moved back. It was the hardest and most humbling thing I have ever done. Harder than widowhood in some ways, because this was a mistake I had made deliberately with the best intentions. Shirley still had her garden. My doctor still had my chart. The young man at the coffee shop had moved on, but someone new was there, and within a month she knew my order. Roots, it turns out, are more resilient than I gave them credit for. Some of them had waited. And here is the thing I need you to hear, because it is the most important part of everything I am telling you. My relationship with Emma is better now than it was those 3 years I lived 14 minutes from her door. Far better. The intentionality came back. The warmth came back. The visits are special again because they require effort from both of us. And that effort is a form of love that proximity quietly suffocates. My grandchildren light up when I arrive because I am not a daily fixture. I am an event. I am the grandmother who comes and brings her whole self and then goes home. And in between, we talk on the phone and write letters and count down the visits. That is not less love. That is love with room to breathe. Now I want to say something to the daughters and sons watching this too. Because this is not just a story for the mothers. If your parent is thinking about moving closer to you, please have the honest conversation. Please do not just smile and say how wonderful because you are touched by the gesture and do not want to hurt their feelings. Ask the real questions. What does your life actually look like week to week? And how much of it can genuinely include a parent in close proximity without creating pressure on either side? What community is your parent leaving behind, and what community will they be entering? Is this decision being made from abundance or from loneliness? And if it is from loneliness, is moving closer to you actually the solution? Or is it the most available feeling solution to a different problem entirely? These are loving questions. Asking them is more loving than letting someone dismantle a life on the assumption that everything will simply work out. I have been telling this story to women my age for years now, and the response I get more than any other is quiet recognition, a nod, a long pause, sometimes tears. Because so many of us made some version of this decision, and so many of us did not feel we could say out loud that it had cost us more than it gave us. Because saying that feels like saying we regret being near our children. And that is not what it is at all. What we regret is not understanding that love does not require proximity to be real, that independence is not selfishness, that a full life of your own is not a consolation prize for not being near your family. It is the thing, the actual thing, that makes you someone your family is lucky to have in their lives, rather than someone whose need for them has quietly become a burden none of you can name. If you have ever felt this, if you have ever made this move, or thought about making it, or watched someone you love make it and seen what happened, I want you to tell me about it in the comments. Tell me your story. Tell me what you wish you had done differently, or what you are glad you did. This conversation matters, and the only place it happens is here, between people who have actually lived it, and I want to hear from you. Here is what I know now that I did not know at 68. Your independence is not a phase you pass through on the way to needing your children. It is a permanent and vital part of who you are and what you bring to every relationship, including the ones with the people you love most. A mother who has her own life, her own friends, her own routines and pleasures and community is a mother who shows up to her children's lives as a whole person rather than a need. And the difference between those two things, between a parent who enriches your life with their presence and a parent whose presence asks something of you simply by existing nearby, the difference is not about love. It is about wholeness. Stay where your life is, or if you must move, move toward something, a genuine community, a place that calls to you for reasons beyond the family members who already live there. Do not move toward your children's lives. Build your own life close enough to visit and far enough to be whole. That distance, whatever it is in miles, is not the measure of your love. It is the protection of it. I am 81 years old, and I live 14 hours from my daughter, and I talk to her 3 times a week, and I am going to visit in 6 weeks, and she is already excited, and so am I, and neither of us is tired of the other. And that matters more than I can tell you. And if you are still on the fence about any of this, if you are sitting somewhere right now trying to decide what to do with this next chapter of your life, and you want more honest conversations from someone who has already walked the road you are looking at, then I want you to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so you do not miss what comes next. Not because I have all the answers, because I have made enough mistakes to be useful to you. And the women who watch these videos, the ones who show up here every week, they are the realest community I have found since I moved back home. Do not miss it, because the next story I tell might be the one that saves you from the mistake I made. Shirley brought me tomatoes again last August, same as always. I stood at the door holding that paper bag and I thought, this is what I almost gave up forever for a geography that did not need me the way I thought it did. Stay where you are loved by the life you built. That is the only place you will ever truly be home.